Heather, great to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself as a starter?
Hey Chris, yeah, my name's Heather Fisher. So current athlete at the moment, aiming for my second Olympic Games. A former GB bobslayer, business mentor, Team GB athlete, England Sevens player.
So quite a lot there.
Off the top of my head, you know.
So firstly, leadership. Who's been your inspiration in life in leadership?
So when you ask these questions, I was thinking you kind of just take for granted when you're an athlete that you've had so many people lead you in different ways. And then I was actually thinking, I actually changed the question to go, actually, how do I view leadership, if I'm honest with you, as opposed to someone particular. And for me, it represents someone who allows you to be literally your complete self. I think that's the biggest learning I've ever had in my career, is be able to be myself. And the right company, the right coach, the right team, you will suit that just because you can be yourself. And that's the first thing. There's a guy called James Bailey, who was my England coach probably after last Olympics. And he was all about honesty, open-mindedness, creating an environment that was really relaxed. It kind of created challenges, but from the challenges, we had to kind of learn and work out our logical processes. So when we were kind of under pressure, we had these processes that we could always go to. But in all of this, you've got to know who you are. So a coach who allows you to understand and explore who you are, because if you know who you are and you can understand how to get the best out of yourself, then you'll start to actually get the best out of others around you and empower other people. And so for me, he really changed my view on leadership, because until then, if I'm totally honest, I thought leadership was about doing, telling, showing people the ropes and just passing on knowledge. But then what I worked out really, really quickly in 2017-18, going to the Commonwealth Games, was actually, it was nothing about me. It was actually about how I actually dealt with the environment, how I fitted into a culture, with values, with mindsets, the person for the performance. And when I put all that together, it allowed me to be my complete self. And under pressure, then I could think more logical. And it allowed other people to feel more relaxed and got the best out of them.
Now, you're incredibly driven. You can tell how driven you are. Where's your motivation come from?
Yeah, like then people say to me, where's it come from? And again, I think just experience gets you this, but I've worked out that I've probably played a lot of my international career, GB bobsleigh, rugby sevens, 15s. I've played it on emotion, but the problem is you can't always rely on emotion, because, you know, as we know, emotions are up and down like a yo-yo. You know, it's like the weather. So you've got to be able to manage yourself. So for me, it's the fire in the belly, it's the passion. And then people go, well, how do you get a passion? How do you get a drive? And the answer is you can't just get it. You've got to understand who you are, where you're going. You've got to have goals. I don't understand how we get up in the morning and some people don't have the goals. You've got to have a goal. You've got to have the ambition, the fire in your belly. And then you get the opposite, and people go, what if the fire in your belly goes? And I've had that as well, where I've just completely lost it and fallen and been so vulnerable. If I'm honest, I've cried for months and months and months and left the England program because of it. And from my experience, again, it's okay to lose it, because you can't always be on that A game. But what you've always got to be able to do is step forward, even in the face of adversity and the challenges. You've always got to allow yourself. I think I say allow because some people, as soon as they get vulnerable, they shy away from it and they don't want those conversations. They don't want to understand what's in front of them. We can't always control everything. So I've worked out that if I can't control it, I have to understand it.
That's a really interesting one. Success and failure come to us all in life. How's it impacted on you, both of them?
With the Olympics around the corner, it's really hard because you're going out to medal, and again, you realize it's not about the money, it's not about the medals, it's not about what car you drive. But to some people, that is success, and that is okay to have that success. If money drives you, it's your drive, full stop. It doesn't matter what your drive is. But you've got to understand that you don't really fail, because if you're someone who always steps forward with the right mindset, you always learn from something. And if you learn, I believe that you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be. You'll be around the people you're supposed to be around because you've put yourself in that situation. But I think the stumbling point for youngsters especially is having the opportunity, especially with COVID going on, having the opportunity to put yourself forward, and secondly, believing that you're good enough. I think more so females than guys, if I'm totally honest, but having that ability just to put yourself out there and have a go. And look, if you don't do it, you don't do it. I would rather live my life knowing that there's no regrets, and I've tried something and I've made a difference to someone else's life, than never know. but you actually learn from your biggest lessons. The biggest lessons where I've fallen is honestly where I've learned, and that's a little bit of a cliche, but as an athlete, it's true, because that's where we do grow. That's where you've got a real chance, Chris, to really home into actually what went wrong and how do I fix it. But how do I fix it for like now, for today, not just review it and reflect it in a week's time or 2-3 weeks time, months time, when I feel ready, just head on, hit it. And what am I learning straight away that I can take into my next day? Because at the end of the day, it's going to get dark and we need to wake up and we go again. You've got a choice whether you go again. So for me, that choice is really, really, really important, that we buy into that choice to go again.
You have a real passion for mentoring young people and coaching people through. Tell me why.
Because you can make a real difference to other people. I think as I've got older, I've realized probably I seem to have an influence over other people's minds, and people tune into me. People seem to want to get advice. People want to learn from me, but I think I allow young people to explore. There's no right or wrong. I'm never going to sit here, with anyone, with business, someone who's older than me, younger than me. This isn't about respect, or this isn't about gaining something. I will give you my respect and my experience. If you want to take it on board, take it on board. And I'll help you grow as an individual. I think it's really important to be able to help the youngsters. It's something that when I look back in my career, I've had a number of mentors in my life. And I'll go to different mentors for different things because they offer different things. So it's a bit like you open your toolbox, not that I have one, Chris, but you open your toolbox, I'm sure you have one. And it's about finding the right tool to do the job. And it's no different to your mentor. You've got to be able to find a mentor who you feel not will just give you the answers. I'm not going to sit here and go, right, these are the answers. Pick what answer you want. It's about understanding this is what we're about. This is how we would demonstrate the values and the culture of what you're about, and understand how to get the best out of you. And from there, we can home in then to how we make you better. But then I think there's a stumbling point because some people are not scared, but there's a fear about, well, do I just keep getting better and better? And athletes are the worst for it. The next medal, the next performance, the next thing. And actually what we're always doing is chasing. But it's not about chasing. It's about being okay with where we are and being really true to who you are. Personally, for me, it's about being true to who you are. And if you're true to who you are, you never really go far wrong because people buy into a person. If you buy into a person, you build relationships. You build relationships, you learn to communicate. You learn how to engage with people, and you thrive on success from there.
Look, you're coming towards, obviously, the Olympics and then a change of career. You're going to be reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
That change is quite frightening for people, isn't it? How is it for you?
Scary, really scary. I think I've tried to retire now for 2 years, and then I kind of came back in board of England sevens, and then got selected for GB sevens, and then hopefully Team GB in the next week or so. I feel ready, but at the same time, I still feel like I've got something to offer to the team. But you know what? I think I'll always have something to offer to the team because I'm not ready to just retire yet. But again, it depends how you view that, doesn't it? Because we've all got choices to make. I've got a choice whether I stay in or stay out. And I have to understand the impact of my choices. That's a big leadership thing as well, I think, how we understand the impact of what we do and take responsibility. But by me staying in, I could probably offer something, but then I feel I could offer greater elsewhere. So it's about coming out on my terms. I think with every athlete, it's about being able to come out on your own terms. I'm somehow injury-free, a few stitches, but somehow injury-free. And my mind's in a good place. I think the biggest thing I probably challenged with my career is my headspace and the pressure in terms of the expectation. I think when you become successful and when you are on the way up into anything in life, there is an expectation on your shoulders. There's an expectation from yourself. So I'm hoping I'll have that same mentality in whatever I go to next. And hopefully it's mentoring young people and hopefully making those differences. But am I scared? Yeah. Will it define me? No. Will I keep stepping forward? Yes. Will I keep putting myself out there? Yes. And will I get scared and tearful on the way? Yes. Will I need a helping hand? Yes. And I think it's really important to remember that for me, some of the biggest leaders, the most vulnerable, so the most successful people show all their cards and they're vulnerable. You can lead from the back and you don't have to be the strongest or the bravest or the most vocalist to be a leader. You just lead by being yourself and knowing how to handle yourself. And hopefully I can take that on into my next role.
That's great. Has there been something in your career that's really impacted, an event in your experience in your career that really impacted on you and how you thought about things?
In terms of leadership?
Yeah, in terms of leadership, or just how you think about life, I guess.
I think just being an athlete itself has a different head, because people put you in a different headspace. It's like, when you're a CEO of a business or a director, people put you into different areas in their head. They put you on a pedestals. And for me, it's really important personally that I stay grounded in what I do, and I stay true to who I am. And I don't, it sounds silly, but you put your clown outfit on, you go to work, you put our suit and tie on. I've got my pink shorts on today, but you stick your kit on, you're like, I'm ready to go. Well, actually, this is me. This is me, whether in whatever light I'm in. But I think a lot of us walk around in this clown suit. And what I've learned in a lot of my career, especially on the World Series, when you're there with other nations and Olympic Games and you're on shows, that you start your career walking around and you're boisterous and you're strong and you want to show and advocate that nothing bothers you. But by the end of it, actually, we're all human. And it's okay to take that clown suit off and actually to be yourself. I think that's probably been my biggest learning. And I've also learned that I can't represent a team that doesn't reflect my values. So if a coach, there are times when I've literally said no to doing certain things with England because it hasn't reflected who I am as a person. And that's a brave and real tough decision to make. But at the end of the day, I know that if I'm happy in where I am and who I am and the skin I'm in, then I can be successful wherever I am. And I've learned that through, I suppose, experience. And then my second probably biggest learning, if I'm totally honest, is the higher you climb, the lower you do fall. And people go, oh, it's amazing, like you medaling here and doing this and traveling. They're all the highs. And that's all amazing. But with every high, we have to come down. And you can't always, I don't believe you can always stay up here. We can perform up here, and that's great. But we have to come back down, or you have to find your own way of grounding yourself to kind of just touch base of your passion, that fire in your belly. And then we go again and we go again and we go again. So I've kind of learned that when you finish Olympic Games, like the last Olympics, you kind of feel like a superhero, and you've represented your country on the biggest scale you can ever represent, and you feel like invincible, if I'm totally honest. And then you come back home and you look around and you're like, now what changes? And then you realize actually it's not actually about the external things that we all actually strive for. It actually comes back to who you are and who you've got in your life and the knowledge to be able to take your next step forward.
One of the lovely things I always enjoy, obviously talking to sports players, people like yourself, is actually you really put friendship and trust right at the heart of things, don't you? Probably to a higher level than sometimes happens in normal life.
Yeah.
Why, I suppose? Why is friendship so important?
Yeah, I think, I don't want to say you have to. Like, I don't believe, and we've got it now at, GB, and we've had it in England. Some of the stories like behind the scenes are really, really tough. The conversations, the challenging conversations, when it comes down to selections and people versus people, it's difficult because you're all fighting for the same thing. But I'm a great believer that you have to give someone your trust. Some people say, oh, trust is earned. I'll give you my trust when I'm ready. But for athletes, it's about, I think personally, it's about opening yourself up, because we know how important connections are. You have to, the quicker you can form those connections, the better you can be as a team. The more you know each other, the more you can empower each other, the more I know how to speak to people, certain characters, how to pick them up, how to make them feel better, how to respond to them when they're under pressure, how they respond to me under pressure. It might just be a tap on the back. It might be, come on, mate, we've got this. Or it might just be, leave them alone. But you've got to know who you work with. And for me personally, by building those friendships and trusts up, it allows you to be a tighter team on the pitch. However, saying that, I don't believe that they have to be your best mates. You just have to know how to make each other tick. And that does come from sometimes forced environments or creating the environments. But at the same time, you've got to be able to understand that to get through to this side of business end stuff, we have to push through this stuff. And sometimes it can be daunting and scary, and you're having a coffee with someone, a courageous conversation, someone you particularly don't like, we don't understand. Get the time to know them, give them the time of day to understand. We've all been somewhere. We've all got a story to tell. I think that's what's really important. We can all learn from each other. And, now I am the oldest, about to say one of the oldest, but I am the oldest in the GB squad at the moment. But it doesn't change my respect for someone who's half my age. They bring different knowledge, they bring different experience, different set of eyes. They bring a different substance, and it's all those little parts together to me that make the bigger picture of success.
Final question. What would you tell your 18-year-old self? What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Really easy one. I still wish I could do it now, and I'm trying to do it. It's trust yourself. It's to trust yourself that you'll be okay. But saying that, you have to be someone who's driven. It's not going to come to you. So you have to go and find it, and you do have to go and find success. I believe that you have to go and put yourself in the situations to have the opportunities. But the biggest learning for me personally is take a deep breath, be real brave, and trust yourself. You've got to back yourself because no one else is going to back you. But you've got to learn how to speak to people and how to create that culture and environment with yourself, and then you take it wherever you travel.
Good luck with the Olympics, and thank you so much.
Thank you.